Hi, welcome to this video on fascinating facts about Jesus, on uncommon ones that a lot of people don't know about. This is based on a book called The Search by Dr. Ron Charles, and as I've explained in the other videos, he is a Christian man, and he decided that he would research, and it took him decades, documents that spoke of the Lord and the details of his life that were not in the Bible, not to replace the Bible, but just to gain a more historical, accurate picture of Jesus. And I found this one very interesting. There was a French Catholic priest named Marcel who fled France during the days of Napoleon. And he settled in Prussia. And later he renounced Catholicism and he joined the Protestant Reformists. But he began to write sermons and teach lessons that pretty much began to challenge some of the traditions of the church. And believe it or not, we have a lot of traditions that have been passed down through centuries and have caused us to have an inaccurate picture of God and the Lord and the times that he lived in. For example, and this may offend you a little bit, but let me share with you that the book of James in the King James, New King James, and all other subsequent Bibles was actually originally the book of Yaakov or Jacob. James was not even a name that was common, and the King James of England that had the Bible translated in English wanted his name to be memorialized. And so he had the book renamed the Book of James. And so there's just lots of things that have occurred. It's kind of like that game of gossip where you start at the beginning of a classroom and you whisper something in that child's ear, and then by the time it goes through every child to the last one in the classroom, it sounds nothing like what was originally said. And that's why we should be students of the Word and students of history, and we should dig and learn truth. Because truth is a person, and those that love truth will be protected from deception. And so Marcel said that we know that the Lord's birth was in Bethlehem. That's a biblical fact. The prophet spoke of it, that he would be born in Bethlehem. And so he wasn't disputing that. But he said what's interesting is there was at the time of the birth of Jesus, there was a 7-day Passover celebration in the year of 7 BC, which is the year that the Lord was born. It was a full moon of the 14th of Nisan, which was the beginning of Passover. It would have been around April 12th. And the celebration would have lasted until April 18th. And it was at this time that the Romans said, you need to go back to your hometowns for the census. And so they would have arrived in Bethlehem at the height of the Passover celebration. And for travelers, they had these like little sheds that were set up where they were kind of partitioned off for the people and then their animals, and you could rent those, and there weren't any available, as we know. And so they would allow people to stay in a manger, which was basically a shallow pit, and it was typically housed in the courtyard. And they would have slept free of charge with their animals, or for a very minimal fee in the manger. Now, the actual spot that the Lord was born is not known. Let me tell you how the Basilica of the Nativity came into being. This is an interesting fact, other than the fact of the Lord's birthday, which is not December 25th. Many agreed that it could not have been that time because there was it would have been too cold for the shepherds to be out in the fields during that time of year. That more than likely it was around the springtime, which the Passover celebration would have put it perfectly in there. If you're curious to how December 25th came into popularity, and I'm not against Christmas, I celebrate Christmas and stuff, but it was actually after Constantine legalized Christianity, they began to go through and convert many of the pagan temples into churches. And the mindset of the people at that time was Jesus was another god to add to their collections. They didn't mind at all. They continued to worship the same gods. They just now put it under the guise of Christianity. and it caused a lot of problems. It caused a lot of corruption, but one of their high holy pagan celebrations was on December 25th for the sun god Mithra. And I don't want to go into all the details about him and what all that means, but he was celebrated with a tree which represented sexual potency and fertility, and they had lights, and they gave gifts, and the lights represented the sun. And so Constantine switched that holiday from the celebration of Mithra to Jesus Christ's birthday. And here's something else he did. Back to the birthplace of the Lord. He, encouraged by his mother, Helena, claimed his right as the chosen one by God. Okay, so already we see this elevation in this man. And so Constantine basically heard of Justin Martyr's prophecy. It says that he was born in Bethlehem in a manger, but they don't confirm nor deny was it a stable or anything like that, okay? We kind of made that up, so the Bible doesn't say if it was or not. And then, 200 years after his birth, Justin Martyr made a cynical statement saying that the exact spot of Jesus' birth would be revealed to the one to whom God chose to reveal its location. 100 years later, Martyr's jest had evolved into a divine prophecy, okay? And so Helena decided that her son was the chosen one to know the exact location of his birth. So to confirm it, in 313 AD, Constantine confiscated the pagan shrine of the cult Adonis Tammuz, built at the mouth of a cave near the town of Bethlehem, one that had been revered as a shrine for centuries before the birth of Jesus. He renamed the cave and shrine the Basilica of the Nativity, and he proclaimed that it was the actual spot where the Lord had been born. Now, the original shrine had been destroyed and then rebuilt a second time, but to this day, it is still considered the birthplace of Jesus, even though it began as a pagan shrine. So I thought that was interesting, and it once again shows mankind's need to exalt themselves to a position in the kingdom and create just ridiculous ideas and notions. So hopefully I haven't shattered your views of Christmas and the nativity scenes and things like that. That was not my intent.